Hi everybody, this is Miguel Valenzuela, and I'm here to talk to you about my little project that I've been working on called the Arborlandica Treehouse Built for Three. The Arborlandica project started off as treehouse, and sort of has blossomed into a couple of things, including a micronation and an interactive treehouse with characters and that kind of thing. I guess in a sense, my own Disneyland. And I scanned the treehouse with a Matterport scanner about a year ago, and was able to pull enough data to be able to see if I can trace over the treehouse. So what I've been working on, and what you can see here flashing before you, is just some of the details and the examples of how I am tracing over the Arborlandica treehouse. And it's a tough project because it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of effort to go through and try and match up detailed polygons and objects to low polygon mesh that you get from the Matterport package. Even though if you have the Pro Matterport camera, you can probably pull some of this data better from the point cloud, but I'm using the OBJ that I was able to download from their Matter pack. And as you can see, you have to go through and essentially trace over the object in 3D space. And the way I started it off was making all the base objects that I'm going to be using, essentially the 2x4s and the plates, making sure all those initial ones were of the right scale. Well, not necessarily scale, but the right measurements, using a scale of millimeters, and then, or units of millimeters, I mean. And so then from there I'd be able to change that around to other sizes once I just scaled it up. If I wanted to do an HO scale model, railroad model, or if I wanted to do a 1:35 scale. Once I have my established units, then I'm free to move those things around. And so, because the treehouse is not a standard treehouse or a standard build, in Norway here we have 2x4s, which are 98 by 44 millimeters. And they're actual 2x4s, not like in the States where the ratio is different. But these 2x4s are typically spaced 60 centimeters apart on center. And so the treehouse doesn't have that because there's a lot of angles in there. My daughter asked me to build this treehouse a long time ago. Both of them did. And not necessarily build this treehouse, they just wanted to build a treehouse. And we have a plum tree, and the plum tree is not the typical quintessential treehouse tree. And so I was very reluctant to build it in the tree. And the girls eventually just started building it themselves, bringing in 2x4s and that kind of thing, and I noticed that they were struggling. So once we established the deck on it, all of a sudden it started to really come together. And I asked my daughter if she wanted a normal treehouse, because the deck came first, or if she wanted something funky, and she said funky. And so we both pulled from all the craziness in the world and the Disney-esque kind of thing and the cartoons, and essentially made the treehouse by hand. With I think about 95% of the treehouse is built from scraps. I have a friend who worked at a hardware store and was able to give us some really good scraps. And so we built most of it by hand. In other words, we cut it with our hand saws, and used very few machine tools, except for the drill, of course. That's a given. You got to use a drill to be able to drill all those screws in, and it just got funkier and funkier. So now the point of the project is to turn this into a 3D model that can be printed, and my goal is to make it into a 3D model of a model, kind of like when you have a modeled airplane and you have those spruces on the side from the injection moldings. I wanted to do that at a 35 scale, And so the first portion, of course, is to get all the parts there, and then from there we can split it up and break it up and add spruces to it. And hopefully we can 3D print this out, and it'll be a nice little model that somebody can build, and or just as something that they can keep as an experiment for me to see about building that kind of thing. But anyways, as you can see, what I'm going through on this build is essentially trying to capture the essence of the treehouse and going through and getting all its quirks and that kind of thing. And so nothing is square, and nothing totally matches up. And so it's a lot of work to try and get these nuances in the design as you're tracing it. So I'm jumping back and forth between the 3D model, the pictures, and because the 3D model doesn't give me the polygons and the resolutions that I really want to be able to match that up precisely. So I'm kind of rebuilding it in Blender. And that's the other thing too, is that Blender is an open source program, and I've been working on it with about, I think, four years or so, and it's been a fantastic program, and they've done so much in the last few years with it that it's incredible what it can do. And so as you can see, it's really a neat kind of thing to go through and model, and at the same time I realize that, or somebody has to realize that when you're modeling these kind of things, it's about attention to detail, and it's really moving node by node by node to get those things how you want them, line them up and move them around and have a good base to start off with. So I'm going to continue doing screenshots of this and screen recordings of this, and hopefully you'll be able to see how this thing builds out. Anyways, I just wanted to share this with you, all my friends that I know on Facebook and those that I don't know personally, whether you're on the Matterport channel and did the 3D scanning. You can see that there's no AI algorithm, at least available to the public right now, that would actually be able to extrapolate all this data. It's a lot of handwork in there, and so it takes time and attention to detail, especially when you have something funky like this. You have to be able to go through and move things around and pile them up on top of each other. But anyways, thanks for checking out the video. It's a little bit long, but hopefully you'll see how it's jumping back and forth and moving nodes here and there. And I hope you enjoy it. And maybe I'll do another one sometime soon. And then maybe we can do something bigger, a Kickstarter or something like that, to see if I can share this model with other people and raise some money to help the treehouse and other things. Thanks again for listening, and have a pleasant day. And I guess, well, welcome to Arborlandica.